What's up, Hound?
Hey Bones, thanks for having me um, on this video. I'm excited to talk about the update and yeah, uh, let's go
Thank you for joining me, of course.
for
So
sure.
this update, big one,
Hmm.
changed the CVC and some other stuff that we'll be going over. Um,
Yeah,
was a shock for you, I'm sure, because you were on vacation for it, right?
yes, yes. So I, I took a month-long vacation. It took me a while to secure this, so I was like really happy to leave. Everything was on good, everything was good before I left. And then the day that I returned, unfortunately, all hell was loose. I came back and I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening?" Because I feel like I was one of the people that was always on top of updates. I was like always in the loop. I was getting the first-hand information, and then with this update, I was just like all over the place because I was trying my best to catch up. And I was a little bit dumbfounded because there was things that people were asking me that I had no idea even existed in the game. I didn't really know which achievements were updated, what exactly was changed. So it was a big shocker for me. But I've been spending the past week or so trying to understand the game and the update a little bit more, and spend some time playing. And um and so far I feel like for me it's one of those good updates that they've added, but it has both good and bad sides for sure.
I think it added some layers that we were missing before. Um,
Yeah.
well, of course, we'll go over some of those today. Um, like I wanted to really, what was it like for you to have these achievements done? Because you're a fairly large player. You've accomplished quite
Yeah.
a bit. What was it like for you to have these achievements done and then come back and just have no idea what had changed?
Yeah. I would say the achievements are something that I'm like a little bit happy about some and a little bit discouraged on others. So there are achievements that I don't have finished that have new levels now, like the Art of War has new levels. Unity of Three has new levels, and I'm like nowhere close to being finished on those. And those are dreadful because I feel like the higher levels, which I haven't completed yet, just like have big differences compared to the lower levels. And then on top of those, what we're seeing with numbers that are being thrown out with the newer levels is just three times, sometimes five times as many between the levels. And that is just something that is scary to come back to. There are updates, or there is some achievements in this update that I don't mind, like the training one, because I personally am going to only train T1s since the update also changed the CVC layout. So I think if I can only train T1s to get the extra training bonus, it's not a bad achievement to do. And like by doing the calculation and talking to some people, it apparently only costs 200,000 of the 24 days
Hmm.
boosts, which isn't a lot. I think most of us can afford that. And the achievement also gives you gold, so you can also reinvest the gold into higher levels of the achievement. So that one, to some extent, even though it's 100 billion new troops, I feel like is something that I can try to work with. But the other ones are really surprising and a little bit discouraging because the gaps that exist could are massive. And maybe it's not too big for some players who are able to afford to spend time and resources and money to push those achievements, but not everyone is going to be able to do it, and that's just going to create a big gap in the power influence
Absolutely.
between people. And that's typically it's a good thing for people that are stuck because they are fully maxed, so they get something to work towards too. But people who are trying to catch up, it just creates a massive gap,
Well, I'm glad you brought
and
up.
that could be
Um,
catastrophic.
I'm glad you brought up Need More Warriors. For instance, like we've all seen as Plarium releases an update like this, we've all seen that fighting obviously escalates.
Correct.
Now that they've added pop battles into all of our competitions. I don't think it's a far reach what you said as far as like even if it's T1s or if somebody wants to work on it over time.
Yeah.
But I do have to play devil's advocate here and bring up Bloody Arl. Do you think that
Yeah,
with them adding the numbers that they added to Bloody Arl, I mean, we're right now on the high end, we're talking 8.5 billion T7 to dismiss for level 15.
yeah,
Do you think that maybe they added need more warriors to kind of counterbalance that? So you're gonna have to train this huge amount of numbers to dismiss this huge amount of numbers, potentially knock two achievements out at once, but at the same time didn't really think that it's not, you know, attainable for the lower spending individuals or the people that are just taking a moderate approach to it.
yeah. So the one thing that I would say is with the training achievement, the good thing is there isn't any restriction. So as I was saying, like I could train T1s, someone who wants to train T7s, it completes regardless of which tier you train, which is a good thing because I think that one makes it so that it's accessible for both types of players, whether you're a big spender or like, medium to like no spending at all. It's somewhat achievable, especially because you also get some gold back, which you can reinvest in time boost. I think the idea that you proposed also works because now there is an incentive to train and dismiss, and at the same time you need to train for the other achievements. So you're basically shooting two birds with one stone. In general, I'm not for the idea of dismissing that many troops. I feel like it's if if we could dismiss T1s to complete the achievement, if there wasn't any troop restriction, I would have been for it. But since you have to only dismiss T7s to complete that achievement, it's just too big of a expenditure. Um, you know, I think we talked about the Fury that just passed a couple days ago on a call together.
Yeah,
During that Fury, I ended up spending almost 1 billion T7s, and I scored quite a lot. Made nearly 300 million shards, 300 to 350 million shards. I think I performed overall really well. And, I typically end up most spending most of my troops during Fury and Jotunheim anyway. And I don't see myself spending that many troops in battle on like normal situations. I feel like, as we discussed, the past Fury was a little bit of an abnormality because we had that extra pop battle.
hmm,
It added more fights to the game in general. But we normally don't even spend a billion T7s. Like even
right.
high tier, good, tight knit, strong and small clans don't end up spending that many troops most of the time. So being asked to burn or dismiss 8 billion at once is just too big of an ask for me personally, and I don't see myself doing it. And my only thought process is eventually there's going to be some bigger debuffs that are going to make the training speeds much quicker.
Right.
The amount that you can train are going to be much more, and I feel like those debuffs will eventually make it worth it potentially to do this achievement. But as of current, it's not something that I want to work on for my town.
Well, and I mean, you've been a seasoned Vikings player for quite a few years now. Um,
Yeah.
so, and one thing I've noticed as well over the course of time is like, I mean, now our town skins have training.
Yes.
Now are, to max them up. Um, Spending gold, of course, has always been a big one. So I
Yeah.
mean, as if we can balance these achievements right, I think as players, if we can balance these achievements along with our town skins, we can possibly max multiple things at a time. Um, and that brings me to my next thing as far as like, where are you with the collector achievement? I mean, because there's quite a few players that have that
Oh,
maxed already, right?
yeah. I yeah, I came back just a couple days ago, so yeah, barely any progress. I think I leveled it up. Like I didn't level it up, sorry. I got like 3 out of 15 for it to go to the next level. Um and the one thing that I have going for me is I am missing quite a few of the old achievements, like
Right.
Scout, I didn't finish that, or hitting invaders, I didn't finish that. And in a sense, the collector achievement is motivating me to do those things that I wouldn't have done, like the cannonball. I didn't do it honestly. There quite a few of the old achievements that I didn't need per se. I wasn't pursuing myself, so in a sense, it is it's a motivating factor for me to do those stuff. What I didn't like was We did all these extra achievements after the achievement was out. So like we maxed it out at 10, and then we got so many achievements after that, and none of those get counted towards the achievement. I
Right.
feel like what
Right.
Plarium could have done was, um, let's say move this thing up to like 15 levels, but create a bigger gap to where it's like the last two levels. So like maybe instead of 15, it costed 25, and 25 per level or higher. And the achievements that we had completed would have contributed because,
They would have been
it
retrograde.
yeah, in a way, it's like something that I don't really care about because I know there's going to be way more achievements
Right.
that are going to come out like later on in the game. We've seen a few of them that haven't showed up yet. Um, there's also the Seven Flames of Odin, which is healing T4s or whatever it is, because we're not super sure about that yet. But that is a couple levels as well. So all of those come together. um, I feel like the collector achievement is one of the ones that gets the bigger boosts compared to like the training one. I feel like the training one gives you like 1% per level or something for the first few levels, and then
Hmm.
it goes to a higher limit. I feel like the collector is a bigger gap. It's like 10-15%. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, have you had a chance to look at like the quests, like giving us more runics, giving us more gold, giving us more things?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
how did you feel about the way they changed our tasks? I mean, I know for me personally, they became so out of balance that even being me, where I'm like, hey, look, guys, every opportunity you have to complete something, to even get a little small something back in this game for the amount
Yeah.
of time, do it. But the tasks before, the quests before, became so out of balance that I honestly just quit paying attention to them. Like I was
Yeah.
never
I
going
mean,
to heal 850 mil T8 or resurrect
yeah.
250 mil T8. Just wasn't something I was gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much the same. Honestly, I don't I like I dropped 600 million T6 T8s in the past Fury. I healed zero. I
Right.
dismissed all of them from my infirmary. I feel like it's just a big boost expenditure to heal those that I could spend on making more of them, even if I'm, consider that, like I have shards in my town that I don't mind, spending on the troops. And just so that I avoid, spending the shards, I end up spending so many boosts isn't a feasible option for me. So I didn't I like I wouldn't heal or resurrect any T8s because that's a big ask. I do realize that they've become really difficult. Yeah, it's one of those things that I don't really pay attention to until I get like those one notifications, and then I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I did something. I did
Yeah.
something. Yeah, I haven't been buying it, but I know they also increased the rewards that you get from them,
Hmm.
which is a positive attribute, for people who are able to spend those big amounts of boosts and heal those amount of troops or train those big amount of troops. I guess it's a positive thing for them, but if you're not like me, if you're like me, sorry, and you can't afford to like do those big tasks, you end up just going for the free option, and once in a while you get that notification at the left hand side of your screen that you just click and collect. Yeah.
Well, and them changing them now, now they're much more achievable. I mean, before where we quit paying attention to them, and now very much I'm still trying to break myself out of the habit because now I'm like, oh, my dailies there are achievable. I mean, kill 10 Ubers a day. Well, that's easy.
Got him.
In the course of an event, we do that anyway. Most of us do that anyway. Um, and the hero energy, it's almost balanced with what it costs for 10 Ubers. It is nice to have that extra runic, with
Yes.
how high everything's going runic wise. I mean, obviously this season's a little
Yeah.
different because it is the holiday season. And they did throw us two new town skins and I believe two new hero skins as well.
Yeah.
Um, and that brings me to segue into CVC. What do you think of the new CVC?
There's again, there's aspects of the new CVC that I like, and there's aspects that I dislike. I think the one biggest, difference maker is now in CVC KVK, we're able to capture the enemy pop.
Hmm.
And being able to capture it means that we can get extra reputes for ourselves, which is a good thing. What I don't like is the option of giving other people negative reputes because I feel like that is in a sense, it's demoralizing and also creates a toxic environment because I feel like people could use that as an option to influence other kingdoms' politics, and you don't know what is happening in other kingdoms, and you just end up influencing it by giving them negative reputes or being toxic to them even if you don't want to, because now you have
Right.
the power and you just conquered their place of power. So I think there potentially needs to be an update where you can take the place of power for points, and maybe we don't even get to give anyone reputes. We don't even get to take reputes for ourselves per se. And the place of power is either destroyed, which means no one which means it takes 24 hours for it to regenerate for the other kingdom to be able to capture, or the place of power is shielded until a new Kunan can be picked from that kingdom. I feel like that would be a better feature to have, which in a sense means, okay, now I captured the place of power, I get those 2 extra points, but at the same time, the punishment for the enemy clan is they don't get reputes if they want to compete with me. Because if we were able to take their pop and we're able to give them negative reputes, we can basically win the event without even having to try. Because if we give them negative reputes and the Jotun marches attack them, that is a big difference maker in their
Oh yeah.
stronghold. And if
Oh
we
yeah.
give them negative reputes while they're training, it just makes it impossible for them to train. So I feel like it creates an unbalance in the game, and I, for one, personally, am not happy with that.
Right.
Even though I think the option of being able to capture the place of power isn't a bad addition to the game per se, but I just feel like I personally wouldn't want that to happen to me, and I feel like it just creates a toxic environment in
Well,
general.
to play devil's advocate here, for instance, like, so, I mean, one thing like you brought up how it demoralizes. Like, I mean, not only is it demoralizing to your opponent, it's demoralizing to their kingdom. I mean, if they share
Yeah.
reputes or they don't share reputes, that's kind of null and void. But I mean, like, their whole kingdom is just kind of like, well, who's this new person in our pop? Um, I think I think to play devil's advocate, what about if we could take pop and shield it for 5 hours? Like you get your 2 points for that 5 hours. You have reputes. You have like free run like it is now. But after 5 hours, the shield pops, and either A, you have to choose to keep it and defend it again, or B, you can turn it back over to the enemy. But if the enemy shields it, then they get their 24 hours of reputes. They get their, you know what I mean? I think
Ah,
that would
God,
give it
God.
more of like a level-footed balance. And I mean by devil's advocate here because it's advocating another pop battle. I mean
Yeah.
a lot of people, like you brought up Fury. Normally I don't go through more than 1 billion T7 in a Fury. This last Fury I
Yeah.
went through 1.7 B and about 100 mil T8. And I mean for like
Yeah.
my clan that's just a lot of troops. So I mean, devil's advocate for advocating another pop battle, but at the same time, I think that would add more of a balance and give more of a strategic outlet instead of just like completely demoralizing your enemy. And I mean, a lot of clans now you capture their pop and they just give up. They do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I mean,
Yeah, it'd be I think in general it would be anything compared to what we have now where you just take it for 24 hours would be better, because you're just giving other clans a fighting option. You're giving them a chance to um, do something. Because right now, I think you can also say the same thing is, if someone captures your pulp, you pretty much lose the CBC. It's not even like anything left up for discussions. They have two of the best types of reputes. They are able to give you negative reputes. So fighting is out of the picture completely.
right,
And the only thing left is training invaders, whatever other tasks are left for you to try to catch up. But as we also talked about it, if they're able to give you negative reputes while training, or they're able to give you negative reputes while hitting ghosts, it just makes it such an uphill battle that it is impossible to catch up. And I feel like after 6 years of playing the game, it's a big change,
hmm
because consider that when the game first started, all you were able to do was play in a KVK, and that
Right.
was like a 6 hour, right? It
Yeah.
was like a
Yeah.
6 hour pop battle
Mhm.
in a KVK. And now we're talking about moving the pop timer to 1 hours, and it just the time that it happens is also a difference maker because people could be online, people could be offline, and
Right.
you may not have enough players to
Right.
fill the pop. And now there's 400 million worth of reinforcements, which means you need way more onslaughts to
Mhm.
break the defense because the current OS cap is 1 to 3 ratio of
Mhm.
troops in the OS versus the defense, and it just makes it very difficult, especially if your enemy captures your pop and defends it with repute. So if they shield their pop 1 hour into CVC, where they shield the pop as soon, well, they start to shield the pop as soon as the CVC starts and
Mhm.
have it done. That just gives them 1 hour window to come back when your pop drops. If you've tried to shield it, as
Right.
CVC starts, to
Right.
take it and then have reputes while doing that, and that just gives um, a big advantage to the defensive side for now.
So, I mean, speaking of the defensive side, like, what do you think of the other categories? Killing enemy warriors while attack, killing enemy warriors while defense. We had them before. I remember a couple years back we had those two categories in CVC, and we all said they were so unbalanced because you pretty much get one category, you lose the other. I mean,
Yeah,
finding that middle ground where it's just perfect is so
yeah, I
hard to
think,
balance those two. But with
yeah. So
but with the
sorry,
pop battle, what do you think? Does that balance it out even more? Does it unbalance it out?
I don't think it balances out because if one of the clans captures a category. Let's say they attacked me in pop and now they have the attack category
Hmm.
and we have the defense category. Um, the defense side essentially is going to add up no matter what because defense is going to happen through the stronghold siege. It's going to happen through the Jotun marches, essentially, and you
Right.
get that defensive points. The way you can get the offensive points is if your enemy then decides to go into their stronghold to defend their stronghold, and then you can try to attack them. But what I have seen is if a clan is smart, if they lose the defense category or if they lose the offense category, they try to keep either of the categories. So if they lost the offense, then they don't play offense because they already lost it. They'd rather
Right.
just stick to whatever they've won. If they've won on the defense, then they just keep that category and go for it. Um, but I think the issue that I have with this is it causes an environment where people want to start their stronghold siege at the same time as the other clan,
Hmm.
because that is one way to make sure that they don't get the offense category and you try to get the defense, because if that clan is busy defending theirs, they're not able to hit you. Which brings us back to like 2 years before, where this was also the situation where we would have either you select whether you want to win offense or defense, and then
Right.
you had to
Right.
do anything else. But now they've changed it because they give you the points for pop, which gives you an extra category,
Hmm.
which could essentially mean that you could try to win the whole CVC by just fighting, if that
Right.
is
Right.
more technically right. You can't fully do it, but it gives you
Right.
that
I mean, you
option
still
for
need
now.
one category at the bottom ultimately. Unless of course you guys tie, like they take your pop, you take theirs. I mean, if you guys just switch
Yeah,
pops, then I mean, then you
yeah,
still have to fight hard for your bottom three, your quote unquote spending categories, as people have referred them to. Um, but now we've added the layer of alliances. Um,
correct.
which I know for a long time, on the side note, like you and I would have conversations about like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if this clan and this clan could work together? Wouldn't it be
Yeah,
cool if we could form something like a pact or form something, like a treaty that would allow us to work together, like either share resources, share help clicks, like Storm or Onslaught with each other.
yeah.
And now Plarium's added that. So does that add like another layer to the game in general, or do you see that being like a changer for CVC?
I definitely think it adds a layer. I mean, you saw me in the recruiting chat the other day, and one of the comments that I
Yeah,
made was, essentially all we're going to see is, in the future, we're looking for another clan to alliance with,
right,
move to our kingdom, not
right,
necessarily come to our clan, but we're looking for another clan to alliance with. And I feel like that is going to happen sooner than we think about it, because the smarter clans are the ones that, alliance with someone who has compact, strong players, and two big um, clans that are in separate alliances that make sure they're still in whatever league that they want to stay in,
hmm
gives them such a competitive advantage, because there's so many things that you can do if both clans are competing in home gang, and one of them gets the 200% bonus. If it's like a Fury or a Jotunheim, everyone could move to that alliance because now you have the option. Previously, you wouldn't have the option.
right.
So there's a lot that could happen with these alliances, and I feel like it's a good layer. It creates a environment where teamwork is a bigger aspect in the game per se, but at the same time, like, it requires a lot of movement and a lot of teamwork. And we've talked about again is with these alliances, not only does it mean good things, but it also means that you are vulnerable in the sense that you're moving to a completely different kingdom,
Right,
exposing yourself to players that you haven't played with or talked to.
right.
And it's a risky experimental project, essentially, just to see if you can mesh with one complete entire clan to try to work together in events. And I feel like the having the option for alliances is a big advantage, especially if you can get an alliance with players from different time zones.
hmm
Um, we've tried to do it. I don't think we have been able to fully complete that aspect for our own kingdom yet, but I feel like kingdoms that are able to do it, like we faced in our Fury, three kingdoms had good alliances going, which weren't just alt clans, they were actual alliances. And you could see their performance boosted because they had players in various time zones that were from a completely different clan that was able to join onslaughts with them and hit towers. And I feel like that is something that we all have to get used to, and is a good addition to the game. Is one of the better pieces of the update for sure.
Well, now let's play devil's advocate with alliances. If I'm allied with you, and by the algorithm, I get matched with you for home gang. Like,
Yeah,
what are we gonna do for home gang? I mean, like, we all got to sit around.
yeah. Neither of us can hit each other's
Exactly.
tower. Yeah,
Um, and the same would be with like if I ally with you and we get you for a fury draw. I mean, it would be the same thing. Like you can't attack towers that we're reinforcing, and vice versa. Um, so I think, I mean, those could obviously come into play as a strategic sense. I mean,
yeah,
but I think ultimately, I mean, what would you be sacrificing? You'd be sacrificing shard count potentially on one side, and you'd be sacrificing points and checkpoints on another side, um,
yeah,
all for the sake of like your alliance. So I mean, I think it's one of those things that it's definitely got its pros and cons, but you know, we've discussed before, like these alliances could majorly impact events like Yacht.
yeah.
If you got two big powerhouse clans allied, I mean, both going after the throne, for instance. Um, and it's like, I mean, two really strong medium-sized clans could then ally and essentially be like one powerhouse clan. Um,
Correct.
but then there's the other side of that. At the end of the day, who would become king?
Yeah, I think the one point that you mentioned that is still valid is the point breakup. Obviously, I feel like in terms of who would become king, it wouldn't matter um, whether you're an alliance or not, because essentially the alliance or the person with most time would probably become king regardless of which clan they're in.
hmm
The good thing again is if you have an alliance and you win the king position, then you have the loyalty or the option to give the other clan that you're allied with some of the gifts, some of the perks that come with it. And I feel like that is it creates I would like to look at the alliances in general as a cup half full type of person.
Hmm.
So I would say for that alliance sake, I feel like it's a good addition. And there's a lot that could happen with the alliances. And maybe we are just looking at it from one perspective, and
Right.
eventually people are going to shock us, because that does happen often in this game, where something that we look at from one perspective ends up working completely differently from what we expected. And I'm waiting to see what people make of alliances. I feel like there is a good potential for teamwork. But yeah, it could be a make or break deal for some players. It could be annoying that someone from your alliance joins an onslaught where you could be in that onslaught because you are online.
Right.
So I think it's just something that people have to work out with their alliances and just try to figure out what's best for them.
Now we've seen this in past updates, where it just takes us time to acclimate. I mean, like the T8 update was huge. It took us all time to acclimate as far as like, whoa, these levels are gigantic. I mean, now there's so many level 40 palaces. It's just like, you go to yacht and you look around and that's all you see are almost all level 40 palaces.
Yeah.
And I think it's just going to take us time to acclimate to this like it did to everything else. But so with the acclimation being said, like what did you learn on your vacation? Like, was it something like you would recommend, like take time off the game? Is it something like you came back and you were overwhelmed with how much you needed to catch up? Or did you just enjoy it?
Yeah, so for me, it was complete enjoyment. I feel like stepping away from the game was something that I was having difficulty with. Um, I would end up, spending hours per day on the game, and I've started to, give myself more time, and just stepping away just gave me a completely different perspective. I was able to spend more time with my family, uh, get to know them better, talk to them more, and see the side to my family that essentially I couldn't, because I was spending too much time on the game, where I wouldn't have enough time for those things. And it sounds a little bit crazy, but I feel like other people also probably have the same issue, where you know you're sitting at a table, and suddenly your clan is getting onslaughted, you're trying to help, and someone talks to you, you don't have time to respond or pay attention to what they're
Right,
saying.
right.
And it's the small things that happen. But essentially, I took a break and I feel amazing. Like right now, I'm looking at the game at like a completely different perspective. I'm excited to play, a little bit more excited to play than I used to be, because I missed the game. But it's something that I would definitely advise, especially like at this time of the year. It's like holiday season, so probably take a break from the game if you have to. And you don't have to finish everything. You don't have to finish everything, as soon as it comes out. You can take your time and enjoy the process.
Hmm.
That's what I did with the previous update. I was maxed before I knew it, like to where I wanted to be at least. And I wasn't max day one. I took my time with it. I took my time with the Uber Chiefs, with whatever that I was doing with gold on research. I tried my best to do what I thought was best for me. And, it all worked out in the end. And I was happy with the progress. And the update wasn't too big of a, deal for me. It was something that I enjoyed playing through. And I feel like that is something that some players also need to realize, that, these updates aren't meant to be finished in one day or two. There's players that do it, but those people, if all of us do the same thing, then the game would have to release an update every week or every other day, because everyone
That makes
maxes out
sense.
as soon as it comes
Yeah.
out. So I feel like people need to relax a little bit, and just take their time with it. Essentially at the start it's going to be a little bit rough, because
Right.
there's people that are going to max it out because they have the resources, they have the money, they have the boost to do it.
Hmm.
But it's not for everyone to do that. There's always this pay to play, and then there's a free to play. But there is, there it's those two are extremes, and there is a gap in the middle, and we all need
Right.
to realize that.
Right.
And not lose ourselves, or our morals, because someone is completely strong and fully maxed day one of the update. Because essentially, it happened like 2 years ago or a year ago, before this big update was announced with the T8s, like everyone was maxed at Palace 35, and there wasn't anything else that you could do. Your T7s were maxed, and you were just essentially hitting heads with everyone.
Right.
And that's going to
Right.
repeat itself, whether we like it or not. And, you know, the players who were paying, they were maxed. And then at some point, we were at the same level with them. And, you know, that is something that people need to realize and try to take advantage of because um, for me, the game has become more of an escape at this point
Hmm.
than it used to be because I
Right.
just look at it as a way to talk to some friends that I have in the online world.
Hmm.
And you know, just to check on them, how they're doing. And, you know, if I can have some fun while playing the game, that is the thing that I want to do. I'd rather do that than, you know, stress about winning events. Even though I'm a really competitive person at heart, but I feel like, you know, just trying my best to take advantage of what I have and, you know, not, you know, waste my time just on the game, rather spend it a little bit more with my family. That's my takeaway from it all.
Well, and I think one of the things is like, we've built this community around Vikings. Um, we are a community because of Vikings, but we are a community apart from Vikings as well. And I think it's really important to touch on that you brought up it's time to reconnect. So many of us have devoted so much time, not on, I mean, money, time, other things into this game, into this community. Um, and it's really about that, especially this time of the year, holidays. A lot of people are stressing, oh, well, I mean, this update came out, I can't spend right now. Or,
Yeah,
there's other things I've got going on in life, because I mean, there is still the very real thing of a pandemic going on as well. Um, and I think it's one of those things that it's so important for us to reconnect as people. I mean, you're not just like to me, you're not just like Hound the streamer. I mean, you're Hound my friend. And if all I
exactly.
did all day
Yeah.
was talk to you about Vikings, it'd be like, oh, come on, Bones, what are we doing here? Um, so I mean, it's not only within our community itself can we reconnect, we can connect with our families outside the community. And the pros and cons of updates like this always affect us until we acclimate to them. But
Exactly.
I think part of that acclimation process could be, spend some time off game. Take that deep breath, take that break, and really think about what you're doing. And it seems like your vacation really added that to you. Um, Even if you did come back, as we started with like mid panic of like, what in the world is all of
Yeah.
this going on? But
Yeah.
as you said, it wrapped it up in a nice bow almost because it gave you that energy. It gave you that this is new. This is something that I can now explore, something else to do versus before it was kind of just stagnant. Um, and everything we talked about today is just a new layer. It's a new level um, that doesn't have to be just maxed immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. That's pretty much my takeaway from all of this is, you know, so far my only goal was to have everything done as soon as I could
Mhm.
because that was the biggest factor for me so that I could win every event. I could, you know, talk about it in my videos and whatnot. But I feel like I've grown past that point because regardless of how many you know, how many times we max out as players in this game, there's going to always be new levels. And
Mhm.
I for one would like to continue to play this game. And, you know, what I realized is if I, you know, spend all I can, whether it's time, resources, money, whatever, into the game for one update, then that just, you know, takes away from my enjoyment in the game as soon as I'm done with it, because then there's nothing else I could do.
Right.
And you know, the one beauty of the game is, again, you could move to kingdoms where things could be a little bit more relaxed for a time period. Doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be fully competitive or anything, but
Mhm.
even if that is something, an alternate option for you, what if you want to take a break and you know, don't want to let your clanmates down, you could move to another clan, work on your account, and then move back to your, you know, main fighting clan. And these are just options, you know. Do whatever is best for you. Try to take care of yourself, your mental health, and, you know, at the end of the day, it's just a game, and we all come to the game to enjoy ourselves. And I would say that it's nice to, you know, enjoy the game, you know, for a change, and not just feel pressured into, you know, playing it. And that's how I would like to look at the game moving on.
Well, and I think it's important that you bring that up with a relaxed view. You know, there's aspects to this where we almost look at updates a lot of the times, and we panic. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, what is changing now? Or, oh, well, if they added this, what broke? Um, has been a joke in the community for a while. You know, like what did they break this time with this update? And it's not really even broken. It's just that it's so much out of the normal for us. Um, and I'm really glad that I got this opportunity today to sit down and talk to you. Because it is nice getting a fresh pair of eyes. You know, someone that you did get that break, you did get that time off, and you're smiling more now. Like, um,
Yes.
it's awesome to see that you bring up the relaxation. You know, we don't have to be maxed right now. We don't have to have the alliances figured out right now. I mean, alliances aren't locked in forever. They're a week long. Um,
Yeah.
these achievements, obviously, we know what the high end is now, but I mean, we're working on getting the numbers lowered there as well. Um, and it's just all in like a strategic timetable as we acclimate to them. Um,
Yeah.
and I think with that being said, I really want to touch on the happy holidays to everybody. Um, it is Christmas tomorrow. Christmas Eve for the U.S. now. Well, U.S. and Canada now. It is Christmas
Yes.
Eve, and Christmas tomorrow for us. But I mean, for some of the people that might be watching this, and I know some of the people we're playing with, it's Christmas today. So I mean, definitely Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you people if we don't, talk to you before then. Um, and I want to. I got to call you out on this on video. Um, I want to set up another time to do a video with you. Um, and it's important because I want to get this layer from your perspective.
Sure.
As we acclimate to this update and as we acclimate to more changes in the game, I think that it's important to get as many perspectives into this as possible so we can cover as much as it is important to our community.
I would definitely be more than happy to have another video together. I think the topics that we discussed today were really helpful, even if it was just recapping some topics for us. I feel like it was definitely something that I could take away a lot from, and I hope that people who are watching the video also, spend the time to think about this and reflect, and take you know, some pointers away from it. I also want to take the time to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I hope you have a safe and wonderful time away from the game, or if you're spending time in the game, I hope you're safe and you spend a little bit of that time with your families. And yeah, I would be more than happy to do another video and go over other subjects, even if we can get other people in to have even more of a perspective difference. That would be something that I would be more than happy to contribute to.
Well, I want to, as we bring this to a close, I want to thank you, Hound, for stopping in and doing a video with me, especially during the holidays. And I want to wish you, of course, wish you and your viewers a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays.